ready to explore the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith? Then grab your Bible and let's get started. Shalom and welcome back to Tuesday night Torah Studies. I tell you, time. We're now in the 8th biblical month. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will receive that announcement on last night. Not only is the Gregorian calendar just moving, Yehovah calendar is moving also. It's this living in two different worlds. You have the kingdom of heaven and you have the world. You're in the world, but you're not of the world. What I find that helps me, keeps me, is staying focused on Yehovah, the kingdom of heaven, the Messiah, the body of Messiah. In other words, things of the kingdom. Because we have to stay sober-minded, alert, because we know the devil, the enemy, is looking for whom he can devour. So we should always pray for the body Messiah to be kept and to keep the faith that once was given to the saints, to be led by the Holy Spirit, to do all that we are called to do. Welcome to Reconcile the Kingdom, where we are working towards growing the harmony of the whole word of truth. My name is Patrice Robinson, and I greatly appreciate every last one of you who's able to join me on this live premiere and those who will be joining me on the replay. I really appreciate you giving me your time and your attention. So if this is your first time visiting me, I want to take the time out and say, welcome. If this is your 5th time, 300 time, 400, welcome. So long. Must gratefully appreciate you giving me your time. I'm hoping that you're ready now, that you're ready to join this family, that you're ready to join this family that does not mind searching the scriptures. But before you even go there, you should be taking a look at the YouTube channel, especially the 5 picks. I think it's the 5 foundational picks to help you understand what this ministry is about. And then you come join us. Come join the family that does not mind challenging their religious systems, teachings that we have been under hundreds of years. A family that is open to being a lifetime student of the Bible, because this is a lifetime study, and that you're ready to explore the Hebrews of the Christian faith. And it's easy to join this family. Just hit that subscribe button below, the bell. And the bell is important because it lets you know when I'm live, any announcements or any updates. So hitting that bell is most definitely important so that you know that I am live. And that is not the only way that you can support this ministry. Another way to support this ministry is making comments below. Send me an emoji when you join me live. Send me an emoji when you join on the replay. Make comments, respectful comments, even if you don't agree. I accept those too. Share the link when you're live, share the link when you're on the replay, and give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up is important because, one, it lets me know that you like the Bible content that you're receiving. 2, it lets YouTube know that they need to send this information about this ministry out to more people. So that thumbs up is kind of important. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Spotify, YouTube, and YouTube podcasts for those who have YouTube membership. Shop in a digital online shop. As you know, we have the digital online shop that has individual Bible companions and individual workbook companions. And everything in the online shop has been on sale for the 7th biblical month. So it's been a month. The sale will end at 9 o'clock p.m. And I'm encouraging you to, if you have not, purchase your Ruth's workbook, which is now on sale for $2.50 till 9 o'clock p.m. Central today, because we'll be starting Ruth. It'd be a good time to purchase your Exodus workbook because we will be starting Exodus, both of those books in the month of November. So they both are on sale. Everything is on sale in a digital online shop. So take a look and Purchase things and shop wisely. Donate in the love jar. Donate in love jar is partnership with me so that I can work towards growing this ministry. There's so much back end work to do, not only here, but on the backside to do. There's always tons of work to do for the kingdom itself. So everything we have spoke about as ways to support the ministry, you can find that in the description box. You can take a look at that after the live premiere, and of course, during the replay. It will be there always. Now, don't forget at the end of this teaching, you have an opportunity to ask questions about the teaching that's presented to you today. I encourage you to ask your questions. I encourage you not to leave do a live premiere or watching doing the replay without asking questions that you need to ask. I'm encouraging you to share. Share the link and make comments or support of a community. And this is, again, the one reason why I decided to go live. So you have opportunity to ask questions that you don't have to go away from a teaching confused, does not understand, misunderstand something. We can address that live and it'll be available for you live. Now, we always begin with the overview, the key points of the previous teaching from the previous week. And so that would be Genesis chapter 46. And I'm going to bring my sheet up. And we are going to talk about Genesis 46. These are just little key points that I picked out. You have opportunity today to share your key points, your application, your questions, your cross-reference, and your word study. I just did not share any word study or cross-reference. I didn't have no questions during the teaching for Genesis chapter 46. Because 46 was about seeing the kingdom of Israel begin its development. First of all, Israel had reservation about going to Egypt, and that's because he was already in the promised land. I'm pretty sure he had no intention on leaving the promised land because he knew that it was going to multiply. That's a part of the promise from Abraham. He passed it on to Israel. Isaac, and Isaac most definitely passed it on to Jacob, Israel. So, and of course, Jehovah spoke to each one of them himself. So Israel had reservation on leaving. What helped him is that Jehovah told him that he needed to go. Jehovah told Israel that the nation will be developed there in Egypt. And that was not revealed to anyone except for Israel at this time. Abraham knew that his bloodline would end up in a foreign land, didn't say where. And all of them knew about that because it was passed on from Abraham. But Israel was the one that was told that it's going to be Egypt, that the nation will be developed in. And Yehovah also told Israel that he's going to die there, but his remains will not remain there. So the remainder of the chapter is talking about all the souls that was in Egypt. Remember, Joseph and his two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, was already Egypt. But these are all the souls all together, how this nation is going to be developed. So you have the sons and the daughters of Leah. Remember, she had Dinah, although we heard nothing else about Dinah, but sons and daughters. Now, Leah is the older sister of Rachel that Israel was tricked into marrying. And so there was 33 of hers, a total that went into Egypt. And what I find fascinating about this, about her children, is Simeon and Judah. Both of them had children by Canaanite women, Ham's bloodline. And I'm going to tell you why I'm pointing this out. Because in Judaism, the mother decides if you are or if you are Israelite or no, if you are a Jew. But we know biblically it is the man, the father, who decides that you are a bloodline of Israel, because it would change things biblically in the Bible if we go by the mother. And of course, we will learn that along the way how that would change things. So Simeon and Judah both had Canaanite children. So now we have the children of Zilpah. This is Leah's handsmaid. That's a total of 16 souls. Then we have the sons of Rachel. That's a total of 14 souls. And 7 souls that from Bilhah, which is Rachel's handmaid. Now, if you want to know each one of these names, I most definitely encourage you to watch Genesis chapter 46 from last week. You can read it about in Numbers, I think Numbers 26, Numbers 25, First Chronicles. You read all about all the bloodlines, also probably Second Chronicles. So now names are important. And we learned that on Saturday, on the Sabbath day, when we went over Judges chapter 18. Judges chapter 18, we found out the unknown Levite and who he was related to. I would have never picked that up if I did not recognize the children of Israel, and their names. So this is why I'm saying that the names are important. And we got a great example of going through that and understanding what that really means when we went over Judges chapter 18. So if you missed Saturday, most definitely take a look and you will learn some things that I didn't pick up until I start reading those names and realize something is wrong in here. So for Judges chapter 46, I only have one insight. That insight is obedience. Israel obedience. Because I'm pretty sure Israel was hoping that he will live all his last days in the promised land. I'm pretty sure that's what he wanted to do, but he obeyed and he went to Egypt on the understanding of what Yehovah was doing. There was a famine in the land, and he most definitely comforted him by telling him to go. I'm pretty sure if he wanted to stay, Joseph would have sent provision to Canaan for him, but he obeyed. So that was the important part about Genesis chapter 46. As usual, I will leave my sheet up for you to take a look. Again, that's to encourage you to share, encourage you to ask questions. If you have any, this will be the time to ask those live. You can also send an email. And there is no embarrassing question, there is no stupid question, and there's no such thing. If you have a question, you can go ahead and ask that. So we are on Genesis chapter 47. Make sure you have your Bible before you, all the writing utensils that you need. And don't forget, in your own study, please use your Strongs for your word study. Please use your maps. Please use different versions of the Bible and not just one. Genesis 47, verse 1. Then Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, my father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan. And behold, they are in the land of Goshen. And he took some of his brethren, even 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, what is your occupation? And they said unto Pharaoh, thy servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. They said moreover unto Pharaoh, for to sojourn in the land are we come. For thy servants have no pasture for their flocks, for the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore we pray thee, let thy servants dwell in the land of Goshen. And Pharaoh spake unto Joseph, saying, thy father and thy brethren are come unto thee. The land of Egypt is before thee. In the best of the land make thy father and thy brethren to dwell. In the land of Goshen, let them dwell. If thou knowest any men of the activity among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. So remember, last week in chapter 46, Joseph most definitely prepared his family for the visit of Pharaoh. These very questions that Pharaoh was answering, Joseph was fully aware that he was going to ask these questions, and he had his family prepared for this. And he had his family, oh, so sorry about it, had his family prepared for this. And it just played out just the way Joseph thought he was going to ask the questions. And so there were only five brothers presented for him. So not all of the brothers were presented before him. And he began to ask the very questions again that was prepared. So I do want to point out this, that the children of Israel was placed in a foreign land, but they was placed in the best of the land. And then Pharaoh asked a particular question. I hope and everyone caught that. Well, statement. If anyone have talent, put him to work for me. Pharaoh said, put him to work for me over his cattle. Now remember, the Egyptians, um, they called shepherds an abomination, so they wouldn't eat with them. They don't interact with them. Pharaoh has cattle, and shepherds are an abomination, but he wants the children of Israel to work for him. So he knew there was some talent because this is a generational occupation that they have. So I find it very fascinating that he has cattle and doesn't like shepherds. Genesis 47, verse 7. Now, this is important to understand, is verse by verse is important. So let's get us the understanding about Joseph. Verse what 7 through 12. What I do find fascinating about this is that Jacob's name is Jacob in this area, to me, more than any other area, instead of Israel. And I don't know again if this is translations, because Moses was the writer. He's not the author, but he's the writer. So most definitely, I find that fascinating. Verse 7. And Joseph brought into Israel his father and set him before Pharaoh. And Israel blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Israel, how old art thou? And Israel said unto Pharaoh, the days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. So 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained to the days of the years of life of my fathers, and their days of their pilgrimage. And Israel blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh. And Joseph placed his father and his brethren in the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh had commanded. And Joseph nourished his father and his brethren, all his father's household, with bread according to their families. Pharaoh now meets Joseph's father. So in the beginning, he just met with the five brothers and Joseph. Now he is with Joseph and his father. Israel is 130 years old. And he says that his days are few, but it's hard, but no match to my father's, basically my forefathers. For the day Joseph's family arrived, we probably should go back. From the days that Joseph revealed himself to his family, he's been taking care of his family. Last week, he sent his family wagons and provisions so they can take the journey to Egypt. And when they arrived in Egypt, they got the best land. And Joseph provided bread according to their families. Remember that grain was an issue for the family. So that was uh, the famine in the land, was the grain. And there was no bread. This is verse 13. There was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore. So the land of Egypt and all land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt in the land of the Canaan for the grain. I know it says corn, but there was no corn those days. The grain which they brought, and Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when money failed in the land of Egypt, in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came into Joseph and said, give us bread. For why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And they brought their cattle to Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, for flocks and for the cattle of herds, for the asses, and he fed them with bread all their cattle for that year. So again, the grain, to be able to make bread and all those other baked goods and things that they would eat, it wasn't happening because of the famine. The famine was all about that grain. And if you can remember, there was other food to eat because Israel, the second time he sent his children to Egypt, he sent actually some other choice foods. And go back to Genesis chapter 43, verse 11 and 12. He sent honey, spices, myrrh, pistachios, and almonds. Those are the few things he sent along. So there was some other items, food to eat. It just wasn't no grain, which I'm pretty sure caused a ripple effect in the economy and the way people were eating. So the famine again. The people start bringing money to Pharaoh, right? So Joseph was gaining money and bringing money to Pharaoh's house. Now, all of this planning and strategy that Joseph was getting as he was preparing for the 7 years of the famine came from the spirit of Yehovah, gave him the spirit of wisdom for him to be able to prepare for these 7 years of this famine. So they went from money to obtaining land, cattle, horses, flocks, herds, and asses, all of it. You have to keep in mind that Jehovah sent this famine and he revealed it to Pharaoh in a dream. And that's hard for people to to understand. It's difficult for them to accept the things that happen in the world, like death, death of all ages, war, famine, natural disasters, and other things. It's hard for them to accept that that's happening, and then we have this God that should be able to and should do everything, stop all this evil that's going on. And so people naturally blame him. But can we blame him? Can we put Jehovah on trial? Did he start all of this? I mean, we can point fingers at Adam first, he the one that opened the door. And I know Jehovah created Adam, but he didn't control Adam. And people say, well, he could have stopped that. He could have controlled them. Now you have to ask yourself, do you want to be controlled? Do you want God to make you do everything? Do you want someone to control you? And I would say no, because if you wanted that, if you wanted to be under control and all good and from God, then you would just follow his instructions. No one wants to be controlled like that. He's giving you free will and choice. So you either serve him or serve the evil one in the world. You can't put God on trial like we would like to, but I think he has the courtroom. He's the judge in the courtroom. Verse number 18. I know that's hard for people to receive, but yeah, you can't put God on trial. When the year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said to him, remember, this is going over what's been happening over the years of this famine. And he said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. My Lord also hath our herds of cattle. There is no aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies, our lands. Wherefore shall we die before thy eyes, both we in our land? Buy us in our land for bread, and we in our land will be servants unto Pharaoh. And give us seed, that we may live and not die, for that land be not desolate. And Joseph brought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. For the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he removed them to cities from one end of the borders of Egypt, even to the other end thereof. Only the land of the priests brought he not, For the priests had a portion assigned them of Pharaoh, and did eat their portion which Pharaoh gave them, wherefore they sold not their lands. So the people are just letting Joseph know they're out of money. You got the cows, you got everything. All we have is a portion of our land and our bodies. So they sold themselves. They sold themselves into slavery, and portions of their land, of the seed that they're trying to get from Joseph for food. Pharaoh did not take the land from the priests. However, he did give them portions of the bread, so the priests were fine. Joseph received the people and put them into servitude. So basically, they sold themselves into slavery to Pharaoh. Watch what happens in these verse 23. Then Joseph said to the people, behold, I have brought you this day and your land for Pharaoh. Lo, here is seed for you, and you shall sow the land. And you shall come to the and it shall come to pass in the increase that you shall give the fifth part unto Pharaoh, and four parts shall be your own, for seed and for field, and for your food, and for them for your households, and for food for your little ones. And they said, thou hast saved our lives. Let us find grace in the sight of my Lord, and we will be Pharaoh's servant. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt until this day. This is the time that Moses was writing this. This is after. Remember, Moses is writing this while they're on in the wilderness. That Pharaoh shall have the fifth part, except for the land of the priests only, which became not Pharaoh. So remember, he didn't get the land, the promised, the land from the priests. So Joseph gives the seed to the people. We got to get the understanding of this. He gives the seed to the people, and they made an agreement. They will be slaves, and that Pharaoh will get the fifth part of what you grow, and you will only get the fourth part of what you grow to keep for you and your family. From this point, a law was created. So this is the very reason why I cannot say that there was a Pharaoh who knew not Joseph in the book of Exodus when we get there. Because all the Pharaohs are well educated. They understand the laws, who instituted the laws. So I say there was a Pharaoh who chose not to know, to ignore the contributions that Joseph made on the behalf of Pharaoh in Egypt. That's what I call it, that he chose to ignore it. Because here we have that there was a law written in, and we know all the pharaohs knew the law. You know, it's important for us to understand the word and that foundation. Verse 27, and Israel dwelt on the land of Egypt in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. And Israel lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the whole age of Israel was 147 years. And the time drew near that Israel must die. He called his son Joseph and said to him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt, but I will lie with my fathers, and thou shalt carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burial place. And he said, I will do so. I would do as thou hast said. And he said, swear to me. He swore to him, and Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head. So here we have all 70 of the souls of the Israelites that's growing in this land in the past 17 years. So we have more children, more grandchildren being born among this community. We know there could be a lot of births in 17 years. And here we go. this huge community started growing, multiplying exceedingly. And we know, according to the Bible, that the children of Israel was able to multiply. Israel, again, is 147 years old, and he made Joseph make a promise to him. Now, get this. He put his hand under his thigh. I mean, I'm pretty sure this brought you all the way back to Abraham. When Abraham had Eleazar put his hand under his thigh to promise that he will make sure that Isaac does not marry any of the Canaanites, to go get him a wife among his brethren from his family. So you find that in Genesis chapter 24, verse 2. And he made Joseph promise, because Joseph is the one who's the powerful one. He's the one who can make this happen. Bury me among my family. So that means he want to go back to the cave that in the land that Abraham purchased. Remember, he purchases from the Hittites, Ephron and Zorah, the Hittites. And so this is the same land that Sarah's buried in, Abraham, Isaac, and I'm pretty sure Rebecca buried there. And Leah actually is buried there. Rachel was not buried in the in this cave. She got buried when she died after she had Benjamin in a different spot. I can't remember where it is, but you can find that in the Bible. So this cave called it's Machpelah near Mamre. This is where that cave is that Israel is making Joseph promise to take his body to among his family. So I don't see any questions or comments, but I'm hoping that you're enjoying this verse by verse studying that we're doing. And it's important to understand this again, understand the foundation of Genesis, give you the foundation to get into Exodus. Understanding the names, like we learned in the book of Judges, chapter 18, is kind of important. You figure out who is who, and when the translators make a mistake. And sometimes, hopefully it's not done on purpose. So join me on Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. We will be in Judges chapter 19. And next week, we'll be in Genesis chapter 48. I'm telling you, we are almost done. And it has been a great, great journey. And I'm hoping that you have been enjoying this journey. As always, man does not live by bread alone, but every word that, let me say it again. As always, man does not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yehovah. Have a blessed rest of the week, and thank you for joining me on today.